everybody, Chris here. You can now borrow against your Dogecoin. What does that look like? We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my videos come out as well as when I do live streams. You know, Michael Saylor talks a lot about Bitcoin and you never sell your Bitcoin. And he's promoting also that you could borrow against it when you need to get funds. So you don't have to actually sell Bitcoin on an exchange. Well, that is now available for Dogecoin and a number of other cryptos. We're also going to talk about the latest in the charts, what the bear market is looking like. So let's get into it. Let me show you the charts on the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. We start here by looking at the current Dogecoin chart at 9.75 cents. Yes, we did not hold 10 cents again. That was the breakdown that we had on Wednesday. And we're kind of at this point now where we're below the 10-cent support line. We also have an upward trending support line, and we're also bouncing off a downward sloping and a larger picture support line. We got all this going on right now, even though the markets are still weak. Bitcoin is at 66.5. 66.5. It's below the 68,200 support line that we had identified in its own yellow box, and Dogecoin below its yellow box. And again, I use these yellow boxes just tracking pretty much Dogecoin against Bitcoin because they tend to follow each other right now. There will be at some point in time a huge catalyst for Dogecoin, which can get Dogecoin to go on a big run, and Bitcoin would eventually follow that. Dogecoin would outperform Bitcoin in that main big spike. But in a bear market, Dogecoin typically underperforms Bitcoin. But right now, actually, they are very close to about the same. So Bitcoin controls the market. If we zoom out and we look at what these bigger trend lines look like, here we have this downward sloping, what was resistance, bounced off it back here, middle of January, bounced off again, end of January, and then finally broke out here on last Saturday. That was after the February 5th big drop that came all the way down to 8 cents and formed a low for this cycle at 8 cents. Came back up to about 11.5 cents. And now the weakness here on the daily, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive red days. And we're bouncing off that downward sloping line. What was resistance becomes support, and we're bouncing off of that line. In the shorter term, we had an upward sloping support line, and that started on February 5th, and we're still above that as well. So there's a big confluence of things happening here with the Dogecoin chart. Bitcoin's is pretty similar. I can extend that up, and we have a similar kind of pattern happening with Bitcoin as well. Not quite as clear-cut as Doge's, but you get the picture. Bitcoin's drop here on February 5th came all the way down to $60,000, and now we're at 66, many calling for lower. We'll look at that in just a minute. Overall, on the crypto front, we've got this guy Weimar. It's like breaking. The Fed injected $30 billion into the market overnight. That's the biggest injection in the 2026 QE, that's quantitative easing program, giga bullish for markets. And as I said yesterday, no, it isn't. That doesn't put cash in your hands to put it on exchange and buy crypto. There's not this mass buying of crypto. Nobody has any money. This is an internal government thing that doesn't really give you cash in hand. So giga bullish for markets, not so much. I mean, there's the stocks are doing okay, right? Gold and silver are still up. There's weakness this morning, though. It looks like the stocks are a red pre-market because there's a lot of negativity in stocks right now, too, in the overall economy, which is more like bear market stuff. The Clarity Act, will it be signed into law in 2026? We had a spike yesterday, up to 90% chance that the Clarity Act passes. And again, if you're on crypto Twitter, it's like, oh, this is bullish for crypto. Crypto is going to go crazy. Volatility. And no, it's not. This is about stable coins. It's about regulation. This isn't going to move the crypto market, in my opinion. So here we are now. prices are down. It's like, come on, do something. Come on, Bitcoin, do something. And then it drops. Yeah, that's what we have right now. Meanwhile, Wintermute is nonstop dumping millions in Bitcoin and ETH to liquidate longs ahead of Trump's economy announcement, because Trump is going to make some huge announcement today at 4:00 p.m. And he's saying, is he going to talk about like crypto taxes and not having to like pay capital gains? Well, that would have been good if he did that last year for 2025, because I'm finishing up my taxes right now with my accountant, and sure would have been nice to not have to pay all that capital gains tax, but it is what it is. But this is what we have. Again, this is what we've been watching, particularly on the live streams. We've been watching the liquidations, leveraged liquidations, mostly on the long side, continuing to take out leveraged longs, because the degen traders that are trying to hitch a ride on a big recovery, and they're trying to catch it at the bottom and put in a 5x, 10x, 20x long leverage trade, millions of dollars just getting wiped out again and again and again and again. I don't know where all the money comes from these guys. And they keep doing these big trades and they keep getting wiped out. Crypto Rover says the aggregate market realized value net position change is now almost at 2022 bear market lows. The markets are, in crypto, it is, as I've been saying since last fall, it's pretty much mirroring the 2022 bear market fallout. 4-year cycles, particularly for Bitcoin, still in play, and this chart shows it as well. This is where we are right now. Outflows, selling. Market cycles require capital flushing to reset overextended valuations. Comparing current outflows to the 2022 bear market lows without accounting for the massive liquidity expansion of 2024 to 2025 is a failure of scale. So that's what we have. Exhaustion in crypto, a lot of rotation out of crypto, particularly with those ETFs as well, into gold, into silver, and into the stock market, and crypto is not following along. And as we are on this bear market, we again compare to 2022, 2018, and even back to 2014, and Gel is like, look, every bear market bottomed out below the 0.618 retracement area, with each bear market going less deep than the previous one. So the bottom of 2014 was 65% below the 0.618. In 2018, the bottom of bear market for Bitcoin again was 59% below the 0.618. And then in 2022, the bottom was 44% below the 0.618. So what will the bottom be this cycle? What are our targets? Gel is planning on beginning to DCA below 55K. 55K. So we're at 66K now. We'll see. But this gray area here is going to be the beginning of the DCA window for Gel. We'll track that. The Crypto Fear and Greed Index is back down to 8, extreme fear. And this is right near all-time lows again with crypto fear and greed. Liquidations hit $2 billion. Support levels break. Spot ETFs show record outflows for 5 straight days. That means the institutions are dumping IBIT, like the BlackRock ETF, other ETFs, and rotating into a lot of gold ETFs. We see that happening. Coinbase premium turned negative, means US whales are selling. Institutions move their positions into retail buy orders for other things, not crypto. Open interest is being erased as leverage gets wiped out. And that is extreme fear. Meanwhile, every once in a while, you get a crypto that goes on a run. This is Injective. So yesterday, Injective had this big green candle. Nice big move on Injective. And what is Crypto Pulse's response? Yeah, still bearish, printing lower lows. And it's a good short area. It's time to short. anytime in this market, anytime you see a big green candle go up on any altcoin, it's time to short it. Now, I don't do shorting, but that's the response here is let's short this thing. Trader Allen shows the Dogecoin chart. Again, here's the same downward sloping. What was a resistance line turns into support. Unfortunately, that keeps sloping downward. And whether this big green candle comes up like this, I kind of doubt right now. That's not what is happening. It's continuing to fail. I think it's going to bleed out more sideways here in the 9s with a possible relief rally come March into April, but not in the coming days. Don't see that happening. So what's going on with Dogecoin and borrowing against your Dogecoin? This is a Coinbase product in collaboration with Morpho. And you can already on Coinbase borrow against your Bitcoin and borrow against your Ethereum. They've now added Dogecoin, Cardano, Litecoin, and XRP. You can use as collateral, allowing eligible U.S. customers. And of course, it's eligible, and I don't know what that eligibility is. You'll have to read the fine print over on Coinbase. And you can borrow up to $100,000 in USDC without selling your Doge. And this is what Michael Saylor's talking about with Bitcoin. You never sell your Bitcoin. If you need to get some funds, you can borrow against your Bitcoin. You never have to sell. And now you can do that with Doge. Up to 100,000. Now that's not as much as you can borrow in Bitcoin. A little more risk down with the alts here. The loans are powered by the Morpho lending protocol, which runs on Base, which is Coinbase's own Ethereum Layer 2 network. So how does this work? Well, Coinbase is basically just going to take a fee, and then Morpho is where the actual, let's call it possible liquidation if you don't repay your loan. And we watch the volatility of the market as well. If Dogecoin continues to go down and it goes down further, a certain percentage, you can be liquidated as well, because I think it's around like 50%. So if Doge went down another 50%, then your TVL, true value here, would be below a certain level. So there's risk here. But this is the practical case. Support native staking, meaning holders can earn rewards by participating in network validation. That is for Cardano, but XRP, Doge, and Litecoin do not offer staking, which makes crypto-backed lending one of the only ways holders can access liquidity from their positions without selling. And that's the thing. You think you can get around, right? You need cash. Right now, you would just sell your Dogecoin to get your cash. Now you can borrow against it. No matter what you're holding, you should be able to leverage your crypto without having to sell. Being able to borrow against more tokens, coins, means more opportunity to make your crypto work for you. So the loan to value ratio, that's LTV. The ratio is the key concept in crypto-backed lending. It measures how large your loan is relative to the current market value of your collateral. If your collateral drops in value or interest builds up, your LTV rises. If collateral appreciates or you repay part of the loan, LTV falls. So that's what it's all based on. And Morpho is the one who really watches this. So Coinbase sets different LTV limits. Bitcoin and ETH, you can borrow up to 75%. XRP, Doge, ADA, and LTC, you can borrow up to 49% of your LTV. Again, if you're interested in that, you can get into more of the details over on Coinbase. The tighter limits on altcoins reflect their higher price volatility compared to Bitcoin and ETH. There is no fixed repayment schedule. Borrowers must keep their LTV below the liquidation threshold at all times. So you have to keep your eye on that. The loan would be liquidated by Morpho. That's how it would work through Morpho. So there's a fee. Coinbase charges a one-time fee each time a user borrows. Borrowers cannot use loan proceeds for trading on the Coinbase exchange. In other words, if you're like, oh, there's a good price on this low price crypto, I'm just going to borrow against my Doge, and then I'm just going to buy more crypto. It's just like, no, this is only if you need the cash, right, for some other thing. Don't put back into crypto, especially in a bear market. Be careful about this. Now, crypto-backed loans are sometimes described as a way to access value from appreciating assets without triggering a capital gains tax event, since no sale takes place. However, that's like a big but, right? However, that comes with caveats worth understanding. And this is the detail where I'm like, wait a sec. Liquidations can create taxable events. So if you get liquidated, that's essentially your Doge that you're putting up for lending against can get liquidated, so you have to watch that. Also, assets posted as collateral through Coinbase's product are wrapped before being used on Base. Swapping a native asset like, we'll use Doge for this example, for its wrapped equivalent is treated as a taxable event under current U.S. rules. Coinbase has acknowledged this and stated it doesn't provide tax advice. But that's the thing, right? Well, if you're borrowing against your Doge, right, your Doge should be sitting there. Instead, when you port it over to Morpho, it becomes a wrapped Doge, and currently that is a taxable event. And that goes against the whole thing. And it's just like, wait a sec. Now, the tax rules may change. We're going to see what Trump says today, if it's going to be like anything like a big economic thing. Is he going to talk about crypto? I doubt it. And is there really going to be kind of this new tax law or something that's made around crypto? Maybe in the next year or two, we'll see what happens. But right now, hate to break it to you, but when you change your real Dogecoin coins into a wrapped equivalent, right now it is treated as a taxable event, and it is like selling your Doge. So be careful out there. Don't get all caught up in all of this excitement here. I mean, I just tell you the truth here, keeping it real, like I always do. And I don't know, if you're borrowing and you really need to access it, and you really don't want to sell your Doge on an exchange. I mean, that is the one thing, right? You're not actually selling the Doge on an exchange, putting negative pressure on the price. You're just transferring it over, swapping it to a wrapped. And then when you pay off your loan to Morpho, then your Doge comes back, but you're resetting your base and the clock, the schedule between a short-term and long-term hold, that will reset. So those are the details. There's a number of articles out there today. Here's one on Decrypt. Coinbase signaled its crypto-backed lending product expanding in the U.S. And again, it's going to be for the entire U.S. except New York. Sorry, you New Yorkers. New York State has very strict rules against what you can do against crypto. So not available there yet. So that's what that is about. It is kind of exciting just as a headline, and you'll see a bunch of people posting, oh, this is huge, like borrow against your Dogecoin. But at the same time, you got to read into the fine print of what's really going on. So here we are, 9.7 cents. My next live stream will be Friday, where we're going to get caught up from the end of the week and look forward to the weekend on the trading as we continue to slog through this bear market. Leave a comment below. What do you think about this borrowing against your Dogecoin? In concept, it's kind of a pretty neat idea, but the details, But yet, it's something else that is out there, and we'll see how the whole tax law maybe gets rewritten. Give the video a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.